Central Florida is bearing the brunt of a highly volatile summer weather pattern. Over the last 72 hours, a series of severe afternoon thunderstorms, destructive 60 to 70 miles per hour microbursts, torrential downpours, and an intense barrage of cloud-to-ground lightning has ripped across the interior peninsula. The violent convective cells have successfully snapped utility poles, uprooted century-old oak trees, crushed residential roofs, and triggered massive multi-county power outages affecting thousands of residents and business owners from Marion and Orange to Osceola County. As municipal emergency crews, tree removal contractors, and utility workers deploy to clear debris-strewn roads and restore grid stability, meteorologists warn that the region's atmospheric instability is reaching critical levels. A unique convergence of local sea breezes, a stalling frontal boundary, and a dense layer of Saharan dust has turned Central Florida into a literal weather battleground, forcing extended severe thunderstorm watches and dangerous triple-digit heat index alerts. The City of Ocala and surrounding Marion County communities experienced some of the most concentrated structural damage over the weekend. According to Ocala Fire Rescue, localized straight-line winds and sudden downbursts ripped through neighborhoods, instantly dropping massive trees directly onto residential properties and vehicles. A massive fallen oak tree severed a vital transmission line, causing a domino effect that snapped several adjacent concrete and wooden utility poles. Ocala Electric Utility launched an immediate emergency response after significant power outages knocked out electricity for thousands of urban and suburban customers. Specialized grid technicians worked through the night to replace heavy hardware and rewire lines. Major local corridors were rendered entirely impassable due to tangled live wires and heavy foliage, prompting emergency officials to urge residents to treat all downed lines as active and highly lethal. In the greater Orlando metropolitan area, intense lightning and localized flash flooding disrupted both daily commutes and major tourism hubs. Outdoor roller coasters, water parks, and outdoor arenas across Orlando's major resort corridors were forced to enact immediate, prolonged closures over the weekend due to continuous lightning strikes within a 5 to 10 mile radius. Torrential rainfall dumping up to 3 inches of water in less than an hour quickly overwhelmed local drainage systems, causing severe water accumulation on sections of Interstate 4 and downtown Orlando roadways. Further south in Kissimmee and St. Cloud, high-velocity wind gusts peeled metal roofs off commercial storage facilities and severely damaged residential lanais and screen enclosures. Independent damage assessments, such as those tracking Florida storm damage trends, noted that pea to penny-sized hail accompanying the storm cores actively stripped the protective granules off asphalt shingle roofs. Local roofing experts warn that this subtle damage leaves homes highly vulnerable to severe structural leaks as the rainy season continues. Meteorologists from the National Weather Service, NWS, Melbourne office, have explained that the sheer ferocity of these recent Central Florida storms is driven by a unique convective recipe. This phenomenon represents a hazardous triple threat: extreme heat, sea breeze collisions, and a thick atmospheric layer of Saharan air. Central Florida's geography makes it uniquely vulnerable to interior storm escalation. As the Atlantic and Gulf of Mexico sea breezes push inland during the morning, they routinely collide directly over the center of the peninsula, along the I-4 corridor, in the afternoon. This collision forces rapid vertical air movement, resulting in explosive thunderstorm clouds. Adding fuel to the fire is a massive plume of Saharan dust, Saharan air layer, currently blanketing the state. The dust layer acts as an atmospheric blanket, trapping intense heat at the surface during the morning hours and pushing afternoon temperatures into the mid-90s. While the dry air associated with Saharan dust usually suppresses small, minor showers, it actually supercharges major storms that manage to break through the dry layer. The microscopic dust particles act as cloud-seeding agents, drastically increasing the concentration of ice crystals in the upper storm cores. This creates massive static electricity, resulting in a significantly higher volume of dangerous cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. The upcoming week will see a distinct shift in weather behavior, starting with extreme, oppressive heat and hazy skies, followed by a massive surge of tropical moisture over the weekend. While physical storm damage remains a visible threat, public health officials are actively raising alarms about a silent killer extreme heat. The National Weather Service has extended heat advisories across Orange, Osceola, Seminole, and Lake counties. Ambient temperatures hovering around 94 degrees Fahrenheit to 96 degrees Fahrenheit will combine with the intense tropical humidity to generate a heat index, feels like temperature, between 105 degrees Fahrenheit and 110 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh my God.
Meanwhile, the flash flooding quickly turned major urban corridors into impassable waterways, resulting in significant vehicle damage and traffic gridlock. Local traffic reports highlighted several critical hazard zones across the city. The heavily congested intersection near the Fashion Square Mall area experienced some of the most catastrophic localized flooding. Water levels rapidly rose above car bumpers, stalling multiple sedans and compact SUVs. Good Samaritans and local bystanders were observed wading through waist-deep waters to assist stranded motorists in pushing their flooded vehicles out of the active roadway. Consistent, heavy downpours led to major street ponding along commercial strips. Sidewalks were breached by moving water currents, and several small business owners scrambled to secure entrances against rising waters. Eyewitnesses reported over a foot of rushing water moving like a river along Kaley Avenue, between Bumby Avenue and Fern Creek Avenue, overflowing natural drainage channels. Low-lying access roads surrounding major international destinations, including Universal Studios Florida, SeaWorld Orlando, and the affluent Bay Hill community, faced severe water ponding, heavily disrupting vacation commuter routes. The convective storm system was not limited to heavy rainfall. The WS2 First Warning Weather Team declared an active impact weather window, as severe thunderstorm cells produced frequent cloud-to-ground lightning displays and intense straight-line wind gusts, peaking between 50 to 70 miles per hour. The combination of saturated soil and violent wind gusts resulted in uprooted trees and downed power lines across Orange and Osceola counties. In neighboring Kissimmee, local emergency crews responded to reports of a large tree collapsing onto a residential home. Minor structural damages, localized power outages, and temporary traffic signal failures forced law enforcement to step in to manually direct traffic at darkened intersections. The broader impacts spanned across multiple Central Florida counties. Sizable urban flooding and drainage failures were reported in peripheral areas, including Winter Park, Ocoee, Windermere, and Oviedo, as well as the southern tourism corridors of Celebration and areas near the Orlando International Airport. The City of Orlando's Streets and Stormwater Division deployed emergency field crews to assess high-risk intersections, clear debris-laden catch basins, and place temporary barricades along completely submerged roads. Municipal officials explicitly implored the public via social media channels and local news broadcasts to adhere to the classic life-saving adage, "Turn around, don't drown." Driving through standing water poses severe unseen risks. Meanwhile, an Austin resident says a clogged ditch near State Road 415 has contributed to repeated flooding on his property, while the Florida Department of Transportation says runoff from the highway flows to a retention pond and not the ditch. Jake Sarafoglu, who owns more than 5 acres off State Road 415 in Volusia County, said brush has blocked water from moving through a ditch behind his property. He said the flooding reaches his home during heavy rain. "We have a blockage at the end of the ditch right here, and that's what causes our property to get flooded every time it rains hard," Sarafoglu said. Sarafoglu said he spends half the year working on boats in the Great Lakes and values his time at home in Austin. "My work is a little bit stressful," he said, "and every time I come back from the ship, when I come home, I find the peace here. It's almost like a meditation." In recent years, Sarafoglu said, rain has made that time at home more stressful. He said his property flooded at least 3 times and showed a video of flooding he said happened during an average Florida rain. "We are afraid. We're concerned. We're nervous," he said. "We get stressed out every time it rains hard." Sarafoglu said the ditch needs to be cleared more thoroughly. "This solution is very simple," he said. "The whole ditch needs to be dredged at least 3 feet all around, and the blockage at the end needs to be cleared out." Sarafoglu said FDOT is responsible for clearing the drainage easement, but had not been out in about 2.5 years. Spectrum News reached out to FDOT in April, and the agency said they sent a crew to clear the ditch in May. A photo from Sarafoglu shows that some plants have already grown back. An FDOT spokesman said Sarafoglu's property floods because it is within a FEMA flood hazard zone. Sarafoglu said the property received that designation only after he contacted FEMA for assistance related to flood damage. FDOT also said water runoff from State Road 415 flows to a retention pond down the road, not into the ditch behind Sarafoglu's property. Sarafoglu said he uses a pump to move water away from the house, but it only works about 1/3 of the time. He said floodwater has entered the home and that he has had to replace drywall 2 feet up. Sarafoglu said he wants to sell the home so he and his wife can buy a commercial property for her acupuncture clinic, but he said the flooding issue complicates those plans. "It would be very unethical to sell it with an ongoing issue of flooding," he said. FDOT said it plans to clear the ditch routinely now that the issue is on its radar. Sarafoglu said that if runoff from State Road 415 does not go into the ditch, he would like the ditch removed. FDOT said the ditch is still needed for runoff from a county multi-use trail and the Cove Estates 55-plus community across the street.
Crazy out here.